All right, we're back into another Dragon Ball Supercard game video, and today we have the top 16 list and breakdown. If you didn't know, I was hosting the stream for the Dragon Ball Supercard game video stream for CoreTCG in San Diego this last weekend, and I was also there with Hayden, obviously, as my co-commentator / I am his co-commentator, and as well as him co-commentating with True Champion Steven for the Digimon regional on Saturday, and DBS was on Sunday, but I was there for both. It was a fun experience for both. I really enjoyed streaming and as well as just commentating again. I just had a blast, and for the most part, I had positive feedback. Didn't have any like weird commentary feedback. I did hear something about like I don't know why the commentators were saying you should scoop early in order to slow play the next game, and that's definitely not the case. If you were listening, if you did say that, if you were listening, we were saying that if you know that you're going to lose in the next 2 or 3 rounds, or 2 or 3 turns, as in you're just delaying time, then you should probably go ahead and scoop and have a better chance for the next game. And hopefully, again, some of the the commentary kind of translated pretty well over the stream, because I know it was a little bit laggy throughout, and a little bit of a drop connections and things like that. But throughout the DBS day, towards the end, it was really good, and I really enjoyed that. Over 500 people were watching, and it really showed that there's a lot of interest for Dragon Ball, not so much of like the low attendance and things like that, but just to watch and just to find out what's going on in Dragon Ball, because people do love the game. I hope that future events, including nationals, actually has that kind of reception as well, because I'm very excited to be a part of any of that. So big old shout out to CoreTCG, of course, for hosting the event. They are the goats. I can't explain that or express that enough. They've been so good to treating everyone there, as far as the judges, myself, Hayden, and everyone else there. And they ran of course, a very smooth event with very little issues for both events. And of course, shout out to Hayden. The Twitch VOD is here if you want to see the entire VOD. By the time this is up, we'll have the high definition VODs for Dragon Ball as well as Digimon on both of our channels by Wednesday, so probably tomorrow. So definitely go ahead and subscribe if you aren't already, to see all of those, and I'll make sure to break those down in each round that we did stream. And of course, here is the breakdown. We have 149 players, 7 rounds of Switch with no top cut. Here is the 1st through 16th, which we'll go through all of them right now. And with the top 16 breakdown, we did have 4 of the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, which is the Vegeta Goku, of course, over here. Well, 5, sorry. 3 of the Red Sin, 2 of the 7Q, which I really want to edit this, put a 7 in the middle of that 7Q, which is basically the reboot ramp Goku that we saw. Super Saiyan 3 reboot, which is the one, or the person, Mikhail, ended up winning with Mr. Andrew, bearded Vegeta with Red Sin, going up to him, or going against him in the finals. And we had Android 16, which of course is Jared Lopez, with going second. Kiku reboot was the starter deck, the yellow starter deck that just came out. The red starter deck that just came out with Tim Palacios, Green King Piccolo, which I'm very happy to see. We did also stream that game as well. Shout out to Anello, where I know that was a rough game. He lost in time. Otherwise, he would be up here as well instead of the Green Piccolo. And then the last one is Launch, which I'm also happy about. Shout out to Eric Leto. He's been pushing that deck quite a lot. It draws a lot, and it's kind of ridiculous in Zenkai. All right, the first deck that we're gonna take a look at is Mr. Mikhail. I don't think we have the names here, but Super Saiyan 3 Reboot is pretty much the only one in top 16, and is the one that got first place, which technically won the event without top cut, right? So it's interesting to see how this list is set up versus other lists. Like if you take a look at Dane's list back in KC, which also won the event with no top cut with Super Saiyan 3, it's kind of vastly different, right? I don't know if he ran all of these, but 4 Dirty Bursts, 4 of the Ape, it's kind of crazy. 4 of the Beerus Destroys, is also very interesting. The one of the baby, which I'm guessing is for additional draw. We didn't see him resolve a Majin Buu in the Red Sin matchup, which I was very surprised. But he did end up using some of these 6-drops, and as well as even the Vados, which is also interesting tech, which again, people are asking what the Vados does, and it's probably just an answer for different floodgates, basically. So like Mecha Freezer or whatever, it gets returned to the hand instead of being played, which is a bummer that it's returned to hand instead of bottom deck. But I think there are the Champa and as well as the other cards may do that instead. Some of the other stuff is pretty normal, I think. This new support where if you pay 2 and you have 3 more energy, discard 2 mono blue extra cards from your hand. You can play this card against barrier for the turn. It's just a dual attack that gets you Zenkai because you can combo from your drop, which is kind of cool. And everything else is pretty standard. This guy came out of nowhere and was pretty much a big threat against Super Saiyan, the God Rare Vegeta, the SCR, where basically in order to take him down to 1 to 0 life, he has to play it out and then use the activate main. But as soon as you play it, this guy comes out and it returns it right back to hand. Same thing for the 5-drop Baby Golden Avenger. Both of them kind of do the same thing, where you can just play it and it gets bottom decked or returned to hand. So I think those are really, really good techs against the red matchup, and just understanding that you need that in hand in order to not die. The Z deck is pretty interesting because we have the Surmounting the Impossible. I think what happens is that he lets their leader attack their leader, right? Go down to 6 or go down to 7. You swing, you ramp once, you use the Surmounting the Impossible after that. And then you use a token negate, or either or, basically. So that way you can awaken on your terms, which is great. These guys are goated. I mean, this is really good in this deck because you untap 3, and this is just really good because it's free and it's just a really good card. I can't explain that enough. And then the sideboard, nothing too crazy. This may be for barrier removal, and that's pretty much the only thing I can think of. Of course, for Deborah, because that's the biggest thing. Like, hand destruction is the biggest thing against Super Saiyan 3. Jared Lopez, 2nd place with Android 16. Did he really change anything in this deck? Like, yes, the Z battle card. Oh, okay, you got the two green Frieza. That's actually pretty cool. And technically, if your green battle card, which counts as these guys, you can pay out for pretty cheap for 1, basically. That's great. And also this new card, Arrival, pay 3 critical, and then when it's played, you get to bottom deck something out of their field and as well as out of their hand. So that's pretty cool. And then of course the top 5 for Blue Android. Come on, you have to add that guy in there. And overall, pretty much the same list, but this card, as well as this additional card, I guess it's to go against yellow, like Poutine or Trunks Vegeta. I think that is probably the tech for that one. And then two more Zamasus, I guess, against the blue mirror. This with yellow, this with blue, and I don't know what this would do, but Dirty Burst, of course, will come in to the main, going to 3, because that's such a staple blue card at this point. Then we have the starter deck Kid Q Reboot. I don't know a lot about this deck. I do know the deck, obviously. I played the deck for a little bit as soon as it came out. Played against Hayden a lot, and we commentated it. And of course, this is one of his favorite decks, if not his favorite leader, because it got rebooted since that was his first deck profile, right? But overall, it was interesting that we showcased Trunks Vegeta versus this, and we were trying to decide what was better. And honestly, I think this is better. I think because there's so much support between a free SR pop something barrier blocker restand, to a dual attacker barrier for 1, to Bulma that doesn't die and is just a really good unison for this deck. Yamcha that has barrier and just is perfect for a searcher, and as well as the proc off effect. And then we also have of course the Bulma that is just a draw 1 and it's searchable by the front side. So I think overall, and this auto where you switch everything to rest mode, I'm just super surprised that this isn't being played more, because we only seen a handful of them at that event. Even against yellow, I mean not yellow, but even against red, I don't know how this would struggle. Maybe just to close out a game, I guess, and just not, there's not, maybe not enough answers to stop red in its tracks outside of blue. Like blue does that a lot better. We didn't get to see the Z awaken in that battle or that match, which I could have. I wish I could have seen that, because that would have been pretty sweet. We do have the Z battle card too as a dual attacker to deflect, which is cool. This you get this reduce or reduction cost. You don't really see anything else, but I guess it's just a 2 cost deflect dual attacker against blue. Maybe, I don't know. Also didn't mention this unison, but you have a high marker Bulma pretty much all the time. So just being able to play this for 3 and then having a lot of markers after that, or minusing 3, really just only 3, and then getting triple attack afterwards. It's really good. Plus you can pop stuff that ignores barrier. But overall, I think this deck has a lot of good options going for it. He did main one ape and another in the side, so that's interesting. I'm surprised he didn't run a one of with this guy, because it's a pretty good finisher. You can probably get down to 53 as well. A lot of one ofs here, and Mecha Gabora maybe for like Cell or something like that. Tyrannical Blow is always really good against unisons and just lower cost things, and Freedom Power did help in that matchup just a little bit. I'm sure it helped against like Green King Piccolo or any other go wide decks as well. Now we got 4th place Brian Samuel with 7 Coup, which is now the new name for it, which is basically this promo Goku that ramped up. It was really bad back then, or at least bad now for the card that was back then, but now it is pretty good because you have just high powered swings and you're able to have access to things like this Beerus that you pay 1 and then you get to ramp it. We did feature 2 of them. Our man Josh, who was trying to showcase that the fact that if you Beerus, you can Beerus again and then draw, but you don't have to place into energy because the auto says you can't place anything in your energy for the turn. So you just resolve everything, which I'm kind of curious to think if it's worded the same way as a Zeno Unison, where you can just ramp with the Zeno Unison and then just pay 1 and then just draw off of that. That'd be kind of funny. But we have Beer Destroys, of course, for Red Sin, as well as a lot of different decks that go high or go tall, and as well as the smaller 2 or 1 costs are being played. Of course, Boo Unison, not very surprised. 5 drop kill in the main. I'm surprised even with the Cell that we're looking at that. I mean, maybe a 1-of would be better in my opinion. And then one of the Whis Visitor, I don't think he plays this 12 drop, which is unfortunate, but I think that is just more of a draw 1 and get the Visitor in rest mode afterwards. So I think that's what it is. And then we also have a bunch of other good blue cards. This is going to pop up more often. 2 of the 17-18, which is kind of random, but it does get you Z energy pretty quickly and pretty easily. 2 of the Great Ape Saiyan Instincts, which again, more and more tech. Of course, one of the newest Z battle card, which is the whole reason why you play the deck and ramp. And then a lot of 1-ofs, hopefully he saw all of them throughout the game or the matches, but even the 6 drop I'm sure is for things that are going a little bit more wide, or at least trying to do damage in a tough way. And of course Deborah for hand destruction against blue, because we are running into more blue in this format. And then Absolute Confidence is just really good. Same thing for Intoxicated by Justice. Both of those are really interesting techs, and we did see in his match that Oceanus came in again to kind of slow down the game. Now we have 5th place, which I'm just gonna forget all the names, so sorry. I already said all the names, so there you go, or at least showcase all the names, so there you go. One of the 4, right? 4 Gogeta, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, which is basically Vegeta and Goku. There's not very much spice or things you can kind of go around that. So I'm probably just gonna skip through these. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it is like they're all kind of the same thing, because all of these cards, depending on your ratios, which these kind of make sense because you can use this to add a Goku GT. This makes sense as a bean, and these are all 4-ofs because you kind of want to use those every single time that you can. And this is interesting because it is searchable, I do believe. But I still think you still should use the Saiyan Youth instead. New rulers, of course, there, and then we also have the good Z battle cards, and as well as surmounting them possibles to awaken whenever you want to. And then interesting sideboard, I will say. King Piccolo coming in at 4 to burn 1 if they negate, and as well as removing a marker. It does have deflect, so I'm guessing maybe later in the game they could just play this and just swing. So that's cool. Vegeta resolved at 3 there. Dark Power. I don't know what really plays Dark Power or goes against Dark Power that is effective. Like if you're going against something like the Gogeta Unison, you can play Dark Power, but there are so many things in this deck as well as Red in general that sort of just say no. And I'm surprised he didn't main 2 more of these Broly crowns. Like that's such a good card right now. You know, I mean, we've seen that on stream. It was crazy. Elder Village Village Guardian is actually interesting tech. I'm guessing it has something to do with this. I don't think there would be any other reason to play that. I'm guessing it's for these guys, and I don't know. I actually don't know. I guess for Union Fusion, and you combo this, and then you get back into your deck. I don't know, actually. I got another Gogeta. Again, I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. I am happy that this guy, Mr. 6th Place, played Russian Warrior Pan, and then we only have one of the Triumphant together. And I think this person played 3. This guy only used 1. Oh, okay. I was about to say, I was like, 1? That's crazy. Like, the card's crazy, but I guess it's just a rarity thing. Shout out to Eggman, where just playing 3 in total. And of course, the Vegito Unison, which is just so good. Oh, and the newest SR, which I don't know what the best time is to play this, but I guess it's just additional removal. And then Heartfelt at 1. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I don't think there's anything else other than his sideboard that's a little bit different. 2 crown in the side. I don't see crown in the main. That's actually kind of crazy, especially since you can play this for free. So why not? I guess he values the draw and power up a little bit more. All right, the first Shenron, let me make sure this is, yep, that is. So Sid Shenron is also not very away from its core deck. But I will say that this person did play Deluge. I do believe this is Andrew's deck. But if anything, Deluge is really, really cool. It's not great probably when you have a lower size hand, but it is really good when you try to put down Double Strike and Critical on the boy and try to get that in a lot better. 55 cards as well. I think the last we didn't see another red sin, but 55 cards in general, it's probably okay. You know, 56, 57, probably a little bit better, just because on average you're probably not going to see as many balls in life. But as I said in the stream, you can probably get around not getting the balls out of life because you can just draw off your deck when you can, and then you just need Z energy to awaken, not so much the balls in Z energy to awaken, and you can just draw these later on and just draw off of them afterwards. And then I don't think there's anything else that really pops the eye. These guys are just a staple now for this deck because you just want to draw. It's pretty much guaranteed because every single card in your deck is red, so you're gonna draw that. This for barrier removal, Omen of Awakening is interesting because you're gonna have a pretty high marker unison pretty much at any point, and this is gonna be great. The intensifying power trunks was awesome because it is critical, and it's a nice little callback to BT4, and you're able to actually awaken, Z-awaken I should say, when you want to. Because yeah, sure, you're gonna be taking life throughout the game. Sure, you're going to be using testing the op as well, but at a certain point you're probably going to be at 4 and you want to go and use intensifying power trunks. And if you side in more, against certain matchups, which are probably very particular matchups that are weak to crit, you can just use those early on and just put that pressure on. All right, Red Sin yet again, but we do have Almighty Resistance, which is really cool. I guess you can charge a spectator and then just be okay for the rest of the game, or even one of these Dragon Thunders, which is basically 3 more energy in rest mode. You can pay this without the cost, so you can give your leader a 5k boost, and that's pretty much it. The overall pretty normal. The ratios, people always argue ratios for this, and as well as should you play the searcher, this guy. If not, I think it's perfectly fine, especially since you want draw in Red Sin when sometimes you just don't draw unless they attack, or you start seeing some of your pieces like this guy where you can actually play it again and be aggressive and draw. And then 2 more Broly Crown, none in the main. Again, it's one of those things that if you're playing a non-unison build, which this one is, this one is playing it and this one is not, so it just depends on if you value that as a free thing, which if you're siding in the unison and playing Broly Crown with that, that's pretty good. This is also a pretty cool tech against blue, because again, blue is, you know, coming out and doing his thing. You can negate the counter skill costs of a D magic by if they played it for free, basically. And two of these barrier blockers, critical blockers, sorry, and none in the main. So that's very interesting. I wonder where that came in instead of just playing it for sure, or just in the main. But yeah, 6 balls, 51 cards. I'm very curious to see, you know, how many times he's had life or balls in life, but probably not too many if you got that far, that is. 9th place, Gogeta. Again, not too different from everything else. He does play Adventures Advent, one of the Galactic Explorers, one of the Man on the Mission, which is very cool. 2 Wealthfang Fists, which is interesting tech because you don't really see this card too much in red, but it does ignore barrier, and it is just a 3-card combo when you think about it that they have to kind of get through. Crown in the main, this in the side. I don't know why this is in the side. Oh, I'm stupid. Wait, he doesn't have a side? He doesn't have a side. Okay. It was just like, looked like this was separated, and he just didn't look like he didn't have a side. But okay, so for the main, there you go. Makes sense because you gotta need those. And then one of the Indomitable Might. So hopefully this guy had a side. I mean, this is a best of 3, so I don't know, man. 10th place, Gogeta. We have pretty much the same thing too. The Resolve Renewed, Rushing Rolling Pan in the main, which I respect. I love it. One of the Dark Broly, which is pretty much one of the Overwhelm of choice now, because it's free, Overwhelm 6, and you get to remove something with a 30-key swing. So there's like no reason not to play it, right? 0 reason not to play it. Jiren for Android 17 in blue. CoreTCG's in the side, and then Vegito, which is one of the most annoying unisons on the planet that we've seen here in red. And then Bark Unleashed, I'm guessing is for the Red Sin matchup. I can't think of anything else. Everything that is a beefy boy in blue has barrier, and then green is not really played that much, and then yellow has probably barrier, or just not, it doesn't really go tall. Yellow doesn't really go tall. I don't think so. All right, shout out to Tim. This is Pan Reboot. We had him on the stream twice, pretty sure twice. Yeah, there you go. It's they're really good cards for Pan that are designed for itself, like this guy that bursts out and play for free, and you can restand and draw one. You can effectively draw 2. You have the Pan that looks at the top 5 when it swings, and you get a free draw after the play. And then we also have this guy, this girl, whatever, that minus is 10, and then you play at the end of the battle where you can draw 1, basically 2. A lot of other tech options with Divine Presence, as well as the main Kaioken and Spirit Mentor, which I guess is barrier removal as well. But we did have the spicy SCR, which he went ahead and let us know about. So it did come up. It was like almost perfect. It was just that in that last like couple turns against Red Sin, It was he needed to swing at the leader and then just somehow survive. But that time that we were going against Red Sin, that first game with Heartfelt coming out, that thing was insane. It just really showcased how aggressive Pan can be, and it was pretty sick. This is also in the main, which is I guess for blue. That sucks for blue, huh? And then these guys are the only 7 cards that he has on his Z deck. Probably the only things you need, and it's perfect in Pan. And then interesting sideboard, Haru coming out against probably yellow, because yellow can't really do anything. Well, Cold Bloodlust, you know, that's an old card, and it's a 15k, which just restands 4 of your energy, so that's pretty funny. Galactic Cannon, don't know what that is for. I'm sure he would tell us. Maybe for the mirror, I don't know. But even then, this will, yeah, for the mirror. Yeah, maybe for the mirror. The only thing I can think of. We're playing for more barrier control, denial of hope. He is living in the set 3, set 4 meta, huh? But maybe, I mean, you can't use Omen, so I guess that makes more sense. Use denial, but again, don't know the targets. A lot of 20ks or more, has deflect, or is not worth playing. Almost to the last few, but 12th place, 7th coup, where or 7th coup, sorry, where it's pretty similar to the last list with Brian 17, Andrew 17. I don't remember having that in the main for the other, but for the boo, which makes sense. 2 of the 6 drops. This also makes sense too. I feel like you play more of these. This is in the main as well, and sideboard is pretty much the same. Side deck is pretty much the same as well. Again, another red sin. This one is the red yellow, which is pretty much the same thing as the red yellow that we just seen. This is really cool, which basically if you have 2 of those yellow, like 1 red, 1 yellow, 2 cards, you can warp those and then you can charge this, ignoring the energy cost. And that's pretty much your check land for that. I mean, that's not very many yellow. So, I mean, I guess it's just for almighty resistance towards the end of the game anyway. So there you go. And then we also have the side deck with max power, which is nice. And then this for blue, this for any of the, I'm guessing, floodgates in the game. Another red Gogeta with this guy in the main. I don't know. Well, I do know. It's right in front of me. It's probably for the Vegeta here, where you can -2 or -1, I mean, and then play up to 2 skills cost and energy cost of 1. And you can actually use those. You can swing with those, the Vegetas, and then use it in combo afterwards. Or you can use this Vegeta and another Goku for Union Fusion, but I think Union Fusion requires the same power, so I don't think you can do that. Hopefully he didn't do that in the matches, but whatever, I would say. 2 of the new boys, and as well as another free overwhelm option. And I don't think I see anything else. This sided in the unisons, which is probably why he used this unison. Probably sided out the skill list as well for anything else that he needed, like Violet Rays in the main. And that's pretty much it. 5th place or 15th place, Green Piccolo. We did see him on stream against my boy Anello. It's pretty cool. I think the ratio of Son Goku to Piccolo is interesting, but it makes sense because it's harder to play the Piccolo for 1 because you needed the Faded Rifle Goku, and it's easier to play the Faded Rifle Goku and pop something and just swing with double strike barrier than it is to play the Piccolo. So that makes sense. Everything else is just demon clans, along with this boy, and as well as this guy, which just draws you a card every single turn. It's not a bad card at all, and it just allows you to get double attack. I was going to say 2, but the split of Frieza's and the other spicy SCR, where this guy came in clutch just to, you know, end games basically. But I mean, it sucks that you can't swing with the leader in battle, so that is a misplay that we did run into. 4 dormant, 3 homicidal, makes sense. This also sucks that you have to be at 2 or less, but it is what it is. No more than 5 in there, don't need any more. And then Death Ball did come in clutch, 4 or less, against the Gamma Topo. And that's rough to see, if anything. But Big Amor, probably for Red Sin. If I had to take a guess, Red Sin or Gogeta. Yeah, probably those 2. This is why he had 4 of those bad boys in there. And most of the things you do play in King Piccolo are free. So you can just play this for 2, and then the rest of your stuff is like free or cheap. So there you go. And then the last one is Red Green 16th place launch, which I 100% admire. This list looks tight, because I like this list because it reminds me of Red Green Pan, which I am working on right now with a reboot one, where you play out the 5-drop, you play out the 15k, and then you use Piccolo for Alliance right after. And with these guys reprinted, it's a lot easier and accessible, and people should kind of just at least try it out, because you can play these guys on their turn, defend, have a really high life total because of all the launch stuff that you have, and because of the effects, and then use Piccolo Jr. to burn him alive with twice with the Acrobatic Warrior, and as well as draw, and then just have a good old grand time. Plus you have access to the Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta secret rare. Simulate is interesting because you can just search for Eradicated Piece. And then CoreTCG in the main is also interesting. I can't really think of why you would main CoreTCG in this format. Yeah, I can't really think of it. Maybe Topos or something like that. That's the only thing I think of, like, for red. But as you can see with all these lists, you don't really see Topo like that. And then sideboard is pretty standard. Dende is interesting, maybe against the new reboot Goku or even Gamma. And then two of these guys, didn't really see that. Vegeta Resolved, kind of staple for red, and then Violent Rays, which he did not main any, but it did main 4 of these bad boys, so that's pretty sweet. You do go into the combo step, so you can just use your launch abilities anyway, and you can just have a big old big lady launch with the actor image effect. This is interesting too. This is the 2-drop drum. If your card is red, you choose one other card and discard it. When you take damage, if your opponent takes damage from a skill from your battle cards, you play this card from your hand. So basically, whenever you use the Eradicator piece, you can play this for free. So pretty dope. All right, that is it. I apologize for going kind of quick towards the end. I didn't want to drown it out too much, but let me know in the thoughts below. I will link the sheet as well, so that way you can take a peek and go through it. Again, go shout out Eggman. Make sure to subscribe and like the video of his, because he's going to go through his as well. And hopefully I can do some more events and just have some fun on stream with everyone again, because it was a good time. I really did enjoy it. And of course, I will see you in the next one.